Have you heard the one about a guy sitting on his couch one evening? He just settled to watching something on TV when there was a quiet knock on the door. So he gets up, he walks to the door, he opens it, he looks out, he can't see anything. So he shuts the door, he turns around, he's making his way back to the couch when there's that knock again. So he goes back to the door, opens it, looks out into the dark. There's nobody there. And so he shuts the door. Just as he's turning around, there again is that quiet knock. And so he opens the door one more time. This time he looks down, and there is little Death standing there. She looks up at him and says, "Hey, what you looking at? I came for the gerbil." Well, it seems that Death these days has graduated from pets to people. And when she comes, she doesn't come with a quiet knock on the door. It's a lot more like that Hell's Angel turned Jehovah's Witness. Comes to your door and kicks it in. So we're all terrified of that world outside, of the darkness. We look into it, looking whether there is somebody there, looking back at us. You know, you have that sense that you're waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is you check that death counter in the news outlets that tells us about that fateful reign of death in the night. It tells us how many people have now made it into the morning. And then throughout the day, if you were to listen to the news, it's death, 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 virus claiming lives of people, disease destroying their future, taking over our economy. Everything seems to be falling apart, and so we try to settle on our couches in the evening to find some relief in watching our favorite show, but in the back of our minds we're thinking about death, listening for footsteps, wondering whether perhaps death may knock on our door. I take it that most of life has been consumed by that obsession with death. It's hard to get away from it, but to help you to get back to living from that fatal attraction, I thought that it may help you to overhear a story that I've heard some 3 decades ago, and it has changed my life. The story tells about a master who had a servant whom he considered particularly stupid. One day, having done something that the master considered rather foolish, in utter frustration, the master called the servant into his chamber. And he said to him, "It's no secret to you that I consider you a rather stupid man." The servant wasn't quite sure whether the master is serious or not, so he just nodded politely with a smile on his face. The master said, "Look, here is my walking stick. Take it, take all the money you need, and then go as far as you can get. And if you come across somebody more stupid than yourself, well, you come back and tell me about it." So the servant took that walking stick, took some money, and embarked on a journey of finding someone more stupid than himself. He went through many countries, many places, met men, women, young and old. There were moments in conversations that he had with people where he genuinely wondered whether perhaps at last he's speaking with someone more stupid than himself. He was never quite sure. So he crisscrossed the world and eventually made his way home. He found out that the master is now old and sick on his deathbed. It didn't take long before he was ushered into the master's presence. The old man was lying on his bed. When he looked up, he recognized his stupid servant. He smiled at him and said, I am going on a journey. And the servant, having a servant's heart, said, Master, when will you be back? The old man said, no, I won't be returning from this journey. Master, asked the servant, could I help to make preparations for this journey? But the master looked at him and said, no, there's nothing you can do. Now curious, the servant said, Master, have you made preparations for this journey? There's a moment of pregnant pause, and then the master, with a tone of sadness in his voice, said, well, no, I haven't made preparations for this journey. Now, not only curious but somewhat disturbed, the servant said, could you have made preparations? The old man looked up at the servant and said, yes, I could. I had my whole life to prepare for it. The servant stood there for a moment, and he looked into the master's eyes and then said, Master, permit me to make clear that I understand what you just said. You are going on a journey from which you will not be coming back. You had your whole life to prepare for it, but you failed to make preparations. Did I get that right? And the master said, that's right, that's right. You got it right. The legend says that at this point, the servant took that walking stick he was holding all these years, and he pressed it into the hand of his master and said, here, you hold it. At last I have met someone more stupid than myself. Did you get the story? I'm sure you did. More importantly, did the story get you? If it did, then don't be stupid. Get up from that couch, and instead of sitting there and thinking about dying all day, if you have one breath left, why don't you get back to living so that you will have no regrets when death comes knocking on your door?